The grand ballroom shimmered under crystal chandeliers, alive with laughter, clinking glasses, and the soft melody of a string quartet playing love songs that seemed to mock her solitude. Emily sat at the far end of a lavishly decorated table, her champagne flute untouched, her eyes fixed on the dance floor where her sister, radiant in white lace, twirled in her new husband's arms. But Emily? She was the invisible guest, the one who'd been politely, yet firmly, relegated to the singles table, a mismatched collection of distant cousins and awkward acquaintances who barely acknowledged her existence. Forced to sit alone at her own sister's wedding, Emily felt the weight of every unanswered invitation, every whispered judgment from her family. Little did she know, a simple act of kindness from a stranger across the room was about to turn her night, and her life, upside down. Emily had always been the quiet one in the family, the reliable sister who planned the bridal shower, coordinated the fittings, and smiled through it all despite the cracks in her own heart. Growing up in a small town in Vermont, where everyone knew everyone's business, she'd been the golden child until life threw her curveballs she couldn't dodge. Her parents' divorce when she was 15 had left scars, making her wary of relationships. Then came the college sweetheart who ghosted her after graduation, followed by a string of dead-end jobs that left her feeling like she was always playing catch-up. Now, at 32, she was back home for her younger sister Mia's wedding, a lavish affair funded by their father's new wealth from his tech startup. Mia, the bubbly extrovert, had insisted on a massive guest list, but when it came to seating, Emily's lack of a +1 had sealed her fate. "We had to balance the tables," her mother had said apologetically, but Emily knew the truth. She was the odd one out, the reminder of unfinished business in a family obsessed with picture-perfect moments. As the speeches droned on, her father's toast about finding your forever, Mia's tearful thanks to everyone but her, Emily fought back the sting in her eyes. She smoothed her emerald green dress, the one she'd splurged on hoping it would make her feel confident, but it only amplified her isolation. The table around her buzzed with small talk, an elderly aunt complaining about the food, a cousin scrolling through his phone, and a pair of giggling teenagers who were clearly there under duress. Emily excused herself to the restroom, splashing cold water on her face, whispering to her reflection, "Just get through this." Returning to her seat, she noticed him for the first time, a man in a sharp navy suit, sitting a few tables away with a young boy who looked about 7, fidgeting with his tie. The man caught her eye, offered a sympathetic smile, and something in that glance made her heart skip. But she looked away, too raw to engage. The evening progressed into dinner, plates of filet mignon and roasted vegetables arriving with flourish. Emily poked at her food, her mind wandering to the what-ifs. What if she'd said yes to that blind date her friend set up last month? What if she hadn't let her ex's betrayal make her build walls so high? Mia's laughter echoed from the head table, and Emily felt a pang of envy mixed with genuine happiness for her sister. But the loneliness was suffocating. As dessert was served, decadent chocolate cake with gold leaf, the DJ announced the first dance, and couples flooded the floor. Emily watched, her chest tight, until a shadow fell over her table. "Excuse me," a warm voice said. She looked up to see the man from earlier, his son trailing behind him, holding a half-eaten cookie. The man was tall, with kind hazel eyes and a hint of stubble that suggested he hadn't had time for a proper shave. "I'm Alex, and this is my son, Tommy. Mind if we join you? The kid here's getting restless, and your table looks like it could use some company." Emily blinked, caught off guard. Sure. I'm Emily. Mia's sister." Alex pulled out a chair for Tommy, who plopped down with a grin, crumbs on his shirt. "Nice to meet you, Emily. Tommy and I are crashing from the groom's side, old college buddy of his. Weddings aren't exactly our scene, but duty calls." Tommy piped up, "Dad says weddings are where grown-ups eat cake and pretend to be happy." Alex ruffled his hair, chuckling. "Out of the mouths of babes." Emily couldn't help but smile, the first real one all night. They chatted lightly at first, about the over-the-top floral arrangements, the questionable choice of the chicken dance later in the playlist. But as the conversation flowed, Emily opened up a bit. "It's weird being here alone. My family, they mean well, but it's like I'm the puzzle piece that doesn't fit." Alex nodded, his expression softening. "I get that. Tommy's mom passed away 3 years ago. Cancer. We've been figuring out this single dad thing ever since. Weddings remind me of what we lost, but also what we still have." Tommy, sensing the shift, leaned against his dad, and Alex wrapped an arm around him. The vulnerability in his voice touched something in Emily. She shared about her parents' split, how it made her cautious. "I feel like everyone's moving forward, and I'm stuck." As the night wore on, the dancing intensified. Mia pulled Emily aside briefly, whispering, "You okay? You look distant." Emily forced a nod, but inside, she was crumbling. Back at the table, Alex noticed her return with a forced smile. The band struck up a slow song, and couples paired off. Tommy tugged at Alex's sleeve. "Dad, can we dance? You promised." Alex glanced at Emily, then at the empty chairs around her. In a low voice, he leaned in. "Hey, if you don't want to sit this out alone, act like you're with me. We can make it a group thing, me, you, and the kid. No pressure." Emily's heart raced. It was such a simple offer, but in that moment, it felt like a lifeline. "Really?" "Absolutely. Come on, Tommy needs a dance partner who's not embarrassing like his old man." They stepped onto the floor, Tommy between them, giggling as they swayed awkwardly at first. Emily laughed when Tommy stepped on her toes, and Alex's hand brushed hers as they guided him. The pretense melted into genuine fun. Whispers rippled through the crowd, family members glancing curiously, but for once, Emily didn't care. She felt seen, not pitted. As the song ended, they returned to the table, breathless. Tommy yawned, and Alex suggested they step outside for fresh air. Under the stars, on the venue's terrace overlooking a manicured garden, they talked deeper. Alex shared stories of raising Tommy alone, the late nights when grief hit hard, the school events where he felt out of place among couples. "It's lonely, but Tommy keeps me going. He's my anchor." Emily confessed her fears. "I've been so afraid of getting hurt again that I've shut everyone out. Tonight, I felt like a failure just for being single." "You're not a failure," Alex said firmly. "You're brave for showing up. And hey, look at us, two misfits turning a wedding into something bearable." Tommy, half asleep on a bench, mumbled, "I like her, Dad. She's nice." The moment sealed it. They exchanged numbers, promising to grab coffee if their paths crossed again. Alex lived 2 hours away, in Boston, where he worked as a graphic designer. Emily returned to the reception with a lightness she hadn't felt in years. But life wasn't a fairy tale. Back home in her cozy apartment, Emily replayed the night, doubting if it was real. Days turned to weeks, texts with Alex sporadic at first, funny memes about wedding mishaps, updates on Tommy's soccer games. Emily threw herself into her job as a librarian, organizing story hours for kids that reminded her of Tommy's energy. Yet, the emotional walls crept back. When Alex suggested meeting halfway for lunch, she hesitated. What if it's just pity, she confided to her best friend over coffee. Her friend rolled her eyes. Or what if it's connection? Don't sabotage this. Meanwhile, Alex faced his own challenges. Tommy's grandparents, his late wife's parents, were protective, questioning if he was ready to date. "It's too soon," his mother-in-law said during a tense dinner. Alex defended gently, "It's been 3 years. Tommy needs to see that life goes on." But doubts lingered. Was he betraying his wife's memory? Their first real date was a test. They met at a park midway between their towns, Tommy in tow with a picnic basket. Emily brought books for him, enchanting him with tales of adventure. As they walked trails lined with autumn leaves, conversations turned raw. Emily shared her abandonment issues from her parents' divorce. "I always feel like people will leave." Alex stopped, facing her. "I can't promise forever, but I can promise I'm here now. And Tommy adores you." A kiss under a maple tree sealed the budding romance, but challenges mounted. Emily's family meddled. Mia, post-honeymoon glow fading, called to pry. "Who's this guy? Is he good enough?" Their mother's subtle digs about rushing into things echoed old wounds. Emily confronted her during a family brunch. "Mom, I've spent years alone because of how our family fell apart. Let me try to build something." The resolution came slowly. Alex invited Emily to Tommy's school play, where she cheered louder than anyone. Tommy beamed, calling her Aunt Em by accident, then blushing. Alex's in-laws met her over Thanksgiving, initial frost thawing as they saw her genuine care. Emily's job offered a promotion, requiring a move closer to Boston, a sign, perhaps. One evening, months later, Alex proposed a weekend getaway. At a cozy cabin, by a crackling fire, he opened up fully. "That wedding night, I saw you sitting alone, and it reminded me of how I felt after losing Sarah. I didn't plan to say anything, but Tommy nudged me. 'Dad, she looks sad. Go talk. Kids, right?' Emily teared up. "You saved me that night. Not just from loneliness, but from believing I didn't deserve more." Their relationship deepened, blending families tentatively. Challenges persisted, Tommy's occasional meltdowns over missing his mom, Emily's insecurities flaring during stressful weeks, but they faced them together. Therapy helped, communication bridged gaps. Years passed in a blur of milestones, Emily's move to Boston, co-parenting adventures, a quiet wedding of their own where Tommy was ring-bearer. Emily's family warmed, Mia becoming a supportive aunt. The story culminated in Emily reflecting on that fateful wedding, realizing kindness from a stranger had rewritten her narrative. In the end, it's the unexpected connections that heal us. A single act of compassion can spark a lifetime of love. Remember, you're never truly alone, reach out, and someone might just say, "Act like you're with me." If this story touched your heart, hit that like button, it means the world, and help spread these inspiring tales. And if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel for more emotional stories that remind us of the power of human connection. Turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. What's your take on second chances? Share in the comments below, I read every one.